What's going on, YouTube? Doc here with another deck profile. I know it's been forever. Today we have, what's your name?
Dakota.
Dakota here with the best deck ever.
It is quite
Mr. Gordon Ramsay himself.
Yes, sir. So you'll see why they call me that in a minute. If I would have brought it over here in proper preparation, I'm gonna own every copy of White Baking in existence. I swear to God, and you'll see why. So,
the chef himself.
Yes,
so
sir.
Let's go ahead and get into it. All right.
All right. So we're playing 40 card Skull Servant. The deck has two different options. Three. It has a 40 card combo build, which actually puts up insane boards. You have the 60 card Chaos combo build, which is pretty fun and puts up insane boards. And then you have the basic Unga Bunga go in the deck, and that's what this is. This is the best version, the more consistent version. This is just going to smack your opponent directly in the face for however much you decide. So let's go ahead and jump into it. First off, we have 3 kings. He gains 1,000 attack, original attack specifically, for each card with Skull Servant in its name in the graveyard. And if he's destroyed by battle, then you can special summon, banish his Skull Servant, and then special summon himself. Kind of solid. And here is the boy. This is Chef Ramsay himself, aka White Baking, aka the Michelin Star Man. This guy is absolutely broken. So he lets you, when he's discarded, he lets you add 2 cards that specifically mention Skull Servant in their text from your deck to your hand. Then you can discard a card. So it doesn't have to be the 2 cards you added. It can be like you got a Mizuki stuck in your hand and no discard outlet. You can dump the Mizuki. Or you have a Mizuki engrave and you need a Uni engrave. You can dump the Uni if you want. You can also dump your White Princess and your other Skull Servants. He also has another effect where if a level 3 or lower zombie type monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effects, you can send this card from your hand to the grave instead, so it gets around activation clauses. And I find that hilarious. But this card is just absolutely insane. He is the only card in the archetype that is a hard once per turn. To be fair, that's understandable with the second effect.
Days,
like, can you imagine +6ing in 1 turn? That's stupid.
He can.
But this guy right here, White Prince, is not a once per turn clause on it. So when it's sent to the graveyard, by any means, field, hand, deck, when it's sent to the grave, you can send a copy of Skull Servant and Lady in White from your deck to the grave. That's pretty much what he does. And then when you can banish him, a Skull Servant, and Lady in White from your graveyard. So when it says Skull Servant, you can banish your kings because it has Skull Servant in the name. You can also banish any other card that is Skull Servant engraved, and you can special summon a king from your deck. And you may think, oh wow, that's a bad thing. Why would I want to do that? Well, you trust me, it's gonna all work out. And speaking of Lady in White, you got 3 Lady in Whites and 3 Vanilla Boys. So your Lady in White makes all level 3 or lower zombie monsters unaffected by spells and traps and cannot be destroyed by battle. If you got 2 of these on the field and you're playing against Sky Striker, it's just going to game 2. Straight up, they can't win.
Pseudo misc.
Yeah, it's like, it's unaffected, which is even better. So it's not even activated effects. Like, it's just like,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, it gets around skill drain. Like, if you do it right, just kidding, it doesn't.
Funny.
Yeah, like, it doesn't stop it. Then you have the second best card in the deck. This is White Mare. So White Mare, you can discard it to special summon a king or Lady in White that's banished to your field, and then you can also discard it to return a Lady in White or Skull Servant from your grave, or that's banished, back to the graveyard. It's non-once per turn. This can help you link climb, as well as just, it adds a name. Every single Skull Servant card is treated as Skull Servant in the grave, every single white card. So your Bakings, your Mares, your everything that says white on it, it's considered Skull Serpent, right? And then the 2 of, so White Princess is the best and the worst. It's a hand trap, but it's also, you just want to run it at 2. You don't want to see it a lot, right? The only reason I even run this in the first place is that it is a name and it can dump White Prince. So this is one of your normal summons. You basically run 5 normal summons, well, 7 if you include King, and this is your 2 off normal summons. So when it's summoned, you can dump a White Prince from deck to grave, which is pretty cool. When it's normal or special specifically, that's not once per turn. You can also send this card from the field or hand to the grave, and then all monsters your opponent controls that have a level or rank will lose attack equal to their level or rank minus 300. So it can turn stuff like things like Zeus into nothing, literal nothing. Boral Savage is Boral nothing once you get past, the mighty negates that they have. But this card's also I don't understand why it's light, but it's a light. That's pretty much it for the Skull Servant core. You run enough to make sure that King can smack people. That's the whole purpose of this deck. Onto your non-Skull Servant stuff. It's a zombie deck. Most people that play Yu-Gi-Oh! Know what Uni-Zombie do, but just to let you know.
You're not playing the Eldritch engine, right? You're not playing the Eldritch engine.
Yeah, I don't play the Eldritch engine. Eldritch is... Don't. No. Okay, but Unizombie, for those that don't know what to do, you can discard a card from your hand, target a monster on the field, increase its level by 1. Then it has another effect that dumps a zombie monster from deck to grave by doing the exact same thing, except you don't discard. You just dump one from grave. So you can dump your White Prince, your White Baking, your Mizukis, your anything that you need at the time. Sometimes I'll even get desperate and I'll dump a Lady in White. I don't care. I'll do it. I'm a man. And then Mizuki, it's Mizuki. Banish one, special summon the zombie from your grave. Now once per turn. Really good card. And then last monster, Jackabulin. I run this guy mainly because he's a free summon that you can pitch Baking or Prince off if you have them in your hand. He's just kind of good. He can special summon...
Really underrated card,
yeah, it's honestly really underrated. He can special summon zombie monsters from your grave. They're banished when they leave the field, but in Skull Servants you can play around with your Lady in Whites. You can special summon a Lady in White, just get it banished to bring it back to go into some of your link plays that you can do. So this is a really underrated card. I wish it was a little bit bigger as far as attack goes, and I wish it was a dark, but other than that, it's still a good card. Highly recommend running. It's a free summon that helps you link climb. So.
And no other zombie support, no Gozukis, no anything else like that?
So the general rule of thumb is 7 normal summons in the deck is still a little too high. You generally want to have maybe 5 or 6 at most, period. So I'm running a little bit high on that point. But at the same time, while those cards are all really good, this deck has one goal, one focus. Smack. Big smack. That's what you want to do, okay? Now onto the spells. We only run spells. Traps are for people who don't play Yu-Gi-Oh! And we like to play Yu-Gi-Oh! You got 3 Allure of Darkness. Everything in this entire deck, but 7 monsters, I believe, are dark. You're going to run this. You can recur your ladies and your Skull Servants and your kings that you banish off this with White Mare too. So this is basically just a pot of greed at that point, because you can just cycle through and get what you need. Alright, so far everything in this deck has looked pretty cheap. Let's go ahead and change that. So this is the one card I will have to say that it's expensive, and if you're trying to build this deck for cheap, you can throw that out the window. Droplets makes this deck go round. You can't run Dark Ruler no more. You want to deal damage. This halves the monster attack, negates its effects, doesn't target, and it discards.
They're
Or it
expensive for a
sends.
reason.
There's no replacement for this card in this deck. If you think there is, I'm sorry. There are no other options. Plain and simple. Just an absolutely nutty card. Sending double Prince and Baking off this will make you feel like your grandma just cooked you Thanksgiving dinner. It makes you feel so good. And then on to some other optional stuff. So these are optional. These can either be, if you have them and have the budget for them, these can either be Lightning Storms, or you can run 2 of these and a Harpy's Feather Duster. It's up to you. I want to run 3 of these because they discard. And back row sucks. I hate traps. I really do. Ice Dragon's Prison is a pain in my ass. I mean, a royal pain in my ass.
So no Cyclone?
No Cyclone. This is just generally better because it discards.
Yeah.
It discards, it pops too, with traps being very prevalent in control decks. I mean, Lightning Storm is generically better, but in this deck, this card kind of reigns supreme just because you can discard. But if you have Lightning Storms, go ahead, play them, you rich person, you. On to the 1-0 spells. 1 Burial, Reborn, 1 for 1, and Foolish. Everything that you want to summon in your deck is level 1. This starts your plays. This starts your access code into a 7k King combo right here, just by going into White Baking. This is Foolish Burial. This is Monster Reborn. And this is Burial from a Different Dimension. This is the only card that I'm going to have to explain out of that pile right here. So this card, you can target 3 banished cards and return them back to the grave. Keyword return there. Doesn't matter whose they are, just up to 3. So if you open this card in your hand, it's Extendo Pretendo. You're going to snap off. You're gonna banish that. You're gonna banish the parent, special summon a king. Just start doing crazy things. Your Mizukis can go back. Anything that's in your grave, anything that's banished that your opponent has, like you can use this against the virtual world traps and the virtual world stuff. And if they start trying to put stuff back that's banished, you can go, "Are you sure about that?" and just bring it back. That's pretty much it for the main deck. No Regeki. Realistically, any problem that Regeki can solve, King can solve better.
Fair enough.
Because King says damage. Regeki doesn't say damage, right?
Yeah.
And especially with Dark Ruler, like you're going to get over. And your extra deck also solves a lot of problems too. This deck is also really good at playing around Mystic Mine with its ability to place its just place its Link Climbs and then control your board with King itself. And Lady in White getting that pseudo lock off, it's really cool.
Whether they have a monster or not makes no difference to you. You just smack really hard and kill them either way.
All's monsters are is just another thing for me to go smack. All right, here's the extra deck. So the extra deck is also one of those things that's a little bit expensive. And the only reason it's expensive is because this deck requires access code, as well as a few other cards, but we'll get into that in a minute, okay? Your Link ones. You have Almirage for when you have bad hands, you have Karibo for when you have any kind of hand, and you have Relinquish when you need to get rid of a problem card that your opponent is dumb enough to summon in the extra monster set. This is what this is for. If they have an arrow facing forward, you can go, suck, and you just get it. That's what you do. Link Karibo is actually good ending on first turn, just for the boards to stop the attack. And this stops destruction, but generally you're not going to go into this unless you need an attribute for access code to banish. And if you notice, I keep saying that card's name a lot. It's because it's good. Get an access code. Yes, they're 100.
It can smack as hard as King.
It cannot. That's a lie.
Well,
but he can get pretty close.
Yeah.
He can get pretty close. Link 2s. Hulk. Both of the Nightmare Link 2s that are playable. And then Vampire Sucker. So this is going to help you grind through your opponent's spell and traps. This can be a 2-for-1 at times because you'll discard Mizuki and they'll look at that and go, oh no, I need to get rid of this because I think you're going to climb through. That's why you run 2 other Link 2s with the Hulk. Unizombie is a tuner, so it allows you to access other things in your grave. Vampire Sucker, just a generally good card for zombies. You can summon this, then banish off Mizuki to special, and then you can draw your card, as well as it can special summon a monster to your opponent's field that you deem is going to be a problem, but realistically, you're never going to use that effect, ever. It can trigger off that, but you're never going to use that effect. Link 3s. Nightmare Unicorn and Draco, Master of the Tenyu. No one knows that this card has an effect. In case you didn't know what this card does, it has non-targeting destruction as long as you control a non-effect monster that's not itself. For every non-effect monster you have in grave. So if you have 3 Skull Servants in grave, this is going to pop 3 monsters non-targeted.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great for clearing boards. I didn't even realize it, and it's so easy, like, that's why you run 2 Link 3s. You're going to run this, and you're going to run this. Unicorn generically is better, but this card actually will come up a lot and is valid in most situations. All right. Link 4s. You got your game closer. You got your real game closer. This is for when you've grinded through your game and gone on long enough that access code is no longer there. Boral Sword is there to finish up the remains of this. Access code is arguably one of the best extra deck cards in the game. I don't even think it's close on that point, to be honest.
It's like a ShamWow. It pops.
It pops.
It does it all.
It does it all. It's the card's just extremely versatile, and 100% you do have to get your hands on one of these for this extra deck. Honestly, if you can just get your hands on like a Link Karibo, the Nightmare package, and just this, call it good.
That's any extra deck, really.
Yeah, like call it good. You did it. Congratulations. And we do run synchros. We run 3 of them things. Absolute Super Mega Nut Dragon. This card is bonkers. This, I don't know who read this card and went, you know what, push it through. This card is stupid.
A lot of people slept on it whenever it first came out.
I'm gonna mill 5. I'm gonna add 1. You're gonna what? This card is bonkers. There have been so many games that this card by itself has completely turned around. Just this card, just by summoning it. Like, it's crazy. That's a nice hand you have there. Shame if something happened to one of those cards. That's what this card does. He's really here just more or less for when you're playing against Dogmatica and they go, Maximus! You can punish them with this. There are some cards in the extra deck I'd take out for an inst or a second copy of this, but this is in here to punish them, as well as the fact that you can go into this because it's generic. Hey look, it's Boral Savage. Boral Savage is a highly versatile card in this deck. Easy to make and can just provide you a little bit of extra oomph when you go first.
Speaking of cards that push through,
hey,
Borreload Savage.
Borreload Savage does that. He can get big. If you notice, that's the trend with this deck. So small things to look out for when you're playing this deck. If they flip Macrocosmos, if you don't got Twin Twister, go to game 2. Just do it. Go to game 2. Don't worry about the theatrics. Just go, you got it? Game 2. The deck is a lot of fun to play. Is it cheap to build? No. Absolutely not. This deck has to have droplets. There's no exception.
It's cheaper than most of the meta, though.
Actually, it's more expensive.
Really?
Yes. So in this particular build, all Skull Serpent stuff is going up. These are $6 a piece.
Wow.
These are commons. The common Skull Serpents are 5s. Is it cheap? If you can define cheap as a budget deck, this is definitely not a budget deck at all. Is it a fun deck? Oh, God, yes. Anyways, that's going to be it for me.
All right, any parting words?
Kingo Burr.
Kingo Burr. All right, that's a Skull Servant deck profile. Make sure when you come at the king, you best not miss.
No, seriously. If you miss, I'm gonna pounce.
Yeah, he's gonna hit.
I'm gonna pounce.
All right, well, this is Dr. Jinzo signing off, guys. Have a good one.